The Lakers Fast Break presents the Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro. Welcome, everyone, to the show. And yes, I've got an assortment of nightcaps tonight. It's not just one thing or another. I was asked in our post game show about an hour ago or so that if I was to take three shots, there would be a super chat of $100. So I believe it was Intel. Intel, if you are here and clear and ready for the show, present yourself. I want to see if that particular post was legit. I do have my arsenal tonight. I have beer tonight. I think tonight's win warrants a clean, fresh beer. So I'll be drinking a few beers here tonight. And then, of course, if I'm going to be doing shots, I'm going to go with the old reliable and dropping some nice tasting rum. But cheers to everyone who's on the show here tonight. Cheers to the Lakers for a phenomenal game tonight, and as well as the Golden State Warriors. I mean, again, we saw something tonight, folks, that we need to appreciate. We need to appreciate these kind of games, especially when you have LeBron James and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and even that rat Draymond Green. They're all going to go to the Hall of Fame. They're all boys. They put on a show tonight. They made the NBA look very good tonight. And again, I want to salute to those guys and to anyone who's having a nightcap tonight. Thank you for being here. And again, bottoms up. And with that, I know there's been some talk about the refs, and it seems like that's always the case. The refs always kind of play a part in this. And Steve Kerr didn't make it easier. And I'm going to point this out to anyone and Steve Kerr, of course. When you shoot threes over and over and over and over again, you're less likely going to get to the free throw line. I don't know if this is a concept that you understand, but you shot 59 threes tonight. And yeah, we have the occasional, dumb foul at the three-point line, but that happens maybe once, maybe twice in a game. So the likelihood and the percentages of you getting foul calls shooting 59 three-pointers is very low, Steven. Every time something doesn't go your way, you turn into a petulant bitch. And I want to make sure that you know that should you end up watching this one day. And again, no disrespect. It's just what you're doing, right? It's like every time something doesn't go your way, you turn into that guy or that girl or that woman. And as far as some of the calls that should have went the Lakers' way, like Draymond slapping AD and didn't get a flagrant foul, you didn't see anybody else whining and crying after that. So with that, Steve Kerr, bottoms down for you for being such a snatch, even in a game like this. And with that, I want to break down some details here. We did go through a lot of the details on the last show, but in case some of you weren't on the show, or I should say the post-game show, there was some tidbits that came in. Gerald had just sent me an email. We discuss a lot on the show about interviews after the game or even before the game. What is the questioning involved? What kind of questions are the media asking coaches, players, management, whomever? So someone had posted something on Twitter, one of the usuals that Gerald frequents. And someone had asked Darvin Ham if he had considered having, since Jared Vanderbilt's been playing very well recently, would he consider putting him back in the starting lineup? And this is Darvin Ham's response, apparently. And I quote, "Well, right now I'll consider getting me something to eat, a nice glass of wine, and consider sleeping very soon here. Getting a good night's sleep, no lineup questions, please." That's probably why they don't ask those questions. Yes, petting my cat. The thing is, he's not weak. He's just a schmuck. he just spews entitlement, and his act is old. He learned it from the best, Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich is one of those guys that will piss and moan about things that doesn't go his way. And of course, when it does go his way, he's pretty quiet, right? And no one else complains too. Pat Riley doesn't come out of nowhere and say, "Hey, well, how did you guys win the draft last year and get Wembanyama? Oh, you guys are so lucky." Like, you never hear anything like that towards Popovich. But as soon as you get over on Popovich or Steve Kerr, they whine like little freaking Ben Simmons. I shouldn't have said women or girls. That's an insult. But for Ben Simmons, that's a good analogy. A-Buff, I don't smoke weed. For a short amount of time, I was kind of hovering around that industry about 7 years ago. I was thinking of it might be like an alcohol situation. They were just going to start getting legal here in California. And I thought I might be able to get in on it early. I had a friend of mine that was doing really well in that industry. But I quickly realized trying to make something legitimate like that was illegitimate. I didn't like the atmosphere. I didn't like the people around that business. You couldn't conduct business the way you're supposed to. Plus, I don't really smoke. So I'm a fish out of water in that industry. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to go from real grass to fake grass, and I haven't looked back since. Well, I don't know, Petty My Cat. I really think he's clueless. I don't think he's that cagey. Why would he be insulting to the people who hired him? And why would he be insulting to the people who hired him who are not firing him? Because they could have made that move that Milwaukee made. I would have supported it. I had a small thought of it when someone had mentioned it. Someone had mentioned Doc Rivers about a month ago, right? But it never really clicked all the way. But there was a slight thought, like, would that be a good thing? And then that's it. That's all. That's as far as I went. And then, of course, when Milwaukee fired Adrian Griffin, I was sitting there wondering who are they going to get? And then Doc Rivers' name comes up, and I'm like, ooh, that's actually not bad. Like, my instinct said that's not a bad move. And I know Doc Rivers gets a bad rap for not being able to close out games, and as he should. But as I've told some of you, since the Kobe incident, I have a different view on Doc Rivers, and it's hard to get away from it. I think Doc Rivers is an amazing human being, and he was an amazing human being even before Kobe. But Doc Rivers had that Popovich Kerr thing that we all disliked as Laker fans. The most famous one being the Lakers had never beaten his starting five. I always thought that was kind of lame, especially considering the starting five in Game 7 was probably better with Rasheed Wallace than it was with Perkins. But people will argue against that, just because, right? Unless they're Laker fans. But again, I think it's a great move. I think it could be a game changer for Milwaukee. I don't know what's going on in Milwaukee, but this seems to be a hole with leadership there, just much like the Lakers. And whether Doc can push him over the edge, or I should say, push him over the top or push him over the edge, we're going to find out here very, very, very soon. So, Darren, we have 4 scorers in starting lineup. Put Draymond, Rambis, Vando, Wallace, Rodman. Give it a try. We have 4 scorers starting. I'm not sure I'm understanding what you're saying there, Darren. You have to elaborate. But going back to the starting lineup with Vando. So statistics say that anyone who statistics say for the Lakers, if when you're putting Taurean Prince, Austin Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell in the lineup where they're playing, your defense is going to be greatly inefficient. And by putting Vando in there, it eliminates a lot of that deficiency. And with Vando coming up on offense as much as he has lately, it's only common sense at this point to say this guy needs to be in those lineups. I would never play Taurean Prince, Austin Reeves, and D'Angelo in the same lineup. They have to be somehow, subbed in differently. The statistics say it, and I'll repeat it again. I've said it a few times. For every 100 possessions, they're allowing 133 points. So they're essentially allowing 1.3 points per possession with that lineup. It's not good. I want you to think about that for a second. Every possession, unless I'm really bad with my math here and I read it wrong, every possession that those guys are playing defense. So when the team takes the ball out after we've scored or not, they come and they are scoring 1.3 points per possession. That is not good. So, Darvin Ham, after you're done having your food and your whatever the hell wine you're drinking, and you wake up tomorrow morning, don't play Torian Prince, don't play Austin Reeves, and don't play D'Angelo Russell in the same lineup. Think about that. And can you please start telling your guys to stop going under the screens against shooters? By the way, most of the NBA these days are all shooters, especially not Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. But again, who am I? I'm just some guy in the middle of nowhere in Temecula having a beer talking to people, right? Anybody who covers those beautiful gold banners is dead to me. Sean, that this is going to be the last year we have to deal with that because Ballmer and his bombettes and all their toilets are going to be going to Inglewood and saturating Inglewood with even more high-class scenery with trash outside. Sorry, Gerald, I know you're from Inglewood, but Inglewood's still a dump with SoFi being there, and then of course the new Clippers Stadium here in about 9 months or 8 months, and you're gonna have the gleam of everyone's eye, both of them, and then you're gonna have what's around it. But I like it. I actually don't mind. I used to say I'd prefer the Clippers to stay at Staples because that was 2 extra home games, and where the Lakers don't have to go anywhere. But it is kind of nice to where now you can go somewhere, something with maybe a little bit more modern arena, which we know Bama will have, and maybe enjoy the game there. We'll have to wait and see. I do plan on going to a Laker Clipper game next year once the arena opens. Let's see here. Put them in. You do not need a shooter. Put them in. You do not need a shooter. Put who in, Darren? I'm not understanding what you're saying. Are you typing on your phone and it's not clicking right? Last year of that Clippers are gone. What does that mean? I don't know. But the Clippers right now are making a little run here. I believe they whooped the crap out of Boston here, but I want you guys to put this in your memory banks. The Lakers were pretty competitive with the Clippers recently without LeBron. So when it comes to the Clippers, at least right now, I'm pretty comfortable that the Lakers match up very well with them as long as everyone's healthy. So I wouldn't give the Clippers the title yet. I'm not going to give the Clippers the anointed ones like they've been anointed the last decade and done nothing with it. I'm not going to anoint them anything until they get past the Western Conference Final and actually goes to the finals. Now, the ultimate nightmare for Laker fans is a Clipper Boston Celtic final. What to do? What would you do in that scenario? I mean, I already know. You're going to have to cheer for the Clippers. The Celtics being a perennial title contender is really the scary part right now. The Lakers, whether they go all the way or not likely, but that's a frustration. That's a sadness to some degree. But the scary part is, what if the Celtics win a championship? Then the Lakers have to win 2 more again to pass them. And that's the part that somehow needs to get avoided. And if the Bucks are going to improve with having Doc Rivers there, cool. That's just one other team that's going to be in the way of the Celtics. Philly, if Embiid is healthy going to the playoffs, he's going to be determined to finally get past the second round. If they happen to face each other in the second round again, obviously Philly's going to be the pick there for us Laker fans. And then, of course, you've got the West, which is always going to be better than the East, at least for right now. You've got Denver, you got the Clippers, you got Minnesota. And, of course, if by some miracle if AD and LeBron aren't burnt out in the end and they happen to get through a couple of the mud stacks in the play-in or at the bottom of the seeding, there could be something there as well. So the Clippers aren't a playoff team with Harden and Westbrook. Petty my cat, they are a playoff team right now, actually. The question is, I've noticed, and this is the question, I'll say something before I ask the question. I've noticed that in the games that the Lakers have played, the two games where Harden and Westbrook were playing, I've noticed that Harden isn't playing like Harden for 4 quarters. And then Westbrook is limited to sitting the bench towards the end of the game. If LeBron had played in this last game, I think the Lakers beat the Clippers. And when you have players like Westbrook and Harden who have come up short in the playoffs, even at their highest power, how are you going to convince me that they are going to be integral parts of a winning team here? And by the way, Paul George didn't play that well in the last game either. So there's this weird vibe going on with the Clippers. A lot of it is telling me that they're probably going to hit a wall in the playoffs at some point because we've seen it happen. We've seen Harden quit on his teams. Westbrook's going to be covered much, much more aggressively in the playoffs, knowing that the opposing team's going to know he can't really shoot when it matters. Paul George has had a habit of kind of disappearing in the playoffs. Sure, Kawhi could be the difference maker there, but Kawhi seems to run out. He's kind of like Chris Paul. He tends to start going the other way in terms of his health during that time. So the Clippers are still a crapshoot at this point, folks. If these guys aren't 100%, they're not going to really have a chance to do anything. Will the Clippers be healthy come playoff time? How about Porzingis? That's the same situation with Boston. Will Porzingis be healthy? I think he might be healthy this year because he's not really put in a lot of work. Mazzulla's been managing him pretty well, and he hasn't been pushing too much in the games that I've watched. And I think that this might be the year where Porzingis might be in the right situation. And of course, the Celtics will finally have a big that they can rely on, that can shoot from the outside, that can get a rebound down low, and possibly, go on a run in some of these games. I'd like to welcome Sean Grice, Magic Man, Sean Grice. Sean, we were talking about the Clippers. We're talking about Boston now, their viability here towards the end of the season, their health. I've been discussing how the Clippers with Harden and Westbrook, when Harden and Westbrook were in their primes, they had issues in the playoffs. And my assessment of that is, how are you going to convince me that in their latter stages of their career, being out of their prime, can they make a run? I don't think so. I don't think so. And that's even based off of what I've seen when they play the Lakers. I think if LeBron had played this last game, I think the Lakers would have beaten the Clippers. But that's just me. But what's your assessment on the Clippers and the Celtics, especially if they end up meeting in the finals? That was the other question I had. Who do you cheer for? We're going to have to cheer for the Clippers at that point, right?
I'd rather throw up. Oh man, nah, I wouldn't. I'd be an impartial. What's that phrase that people used to get out of the Vietnam War? Impartial objector or something. Yeah, that's kind of what I would be in that series. I don't think that's gonna happen though. Ultimately, Joe, I think the Clippers are just gonna probably run into the Nuggets or the Suns, who are finally starting to get it together, and they're going to be overwhelmed at some point in a 7-game series. It's just they haven't proven that they have the juice to to get that far, and B, their bigs are going to be a problem for them in the playoffs at some point. Like, yeah, it looks pretty good now, but Ty Subats and Mason Plumlee would get eaten alive by the Joker, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. Those guys would eat them for lunch. Other than that, I think they might have problem with the Timberwolves as well, Joe. Naz Reid and Carl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. I think the Wolves and Nuggets match up really well against the Clippers, so I don't think they beat either one of those teams.
Yeah, Sean. I mean, we Sean Thomas, Sean Harder here, Sean. I'll call you
Mm-hmm.
Magic Man so you can know the difference in case rooting for a tie is not realistic. The reality is, we like to use the word reality. At least I do. Is we can't have the Celtics get 18. So in a lot of ways, if you had a team full of Draymond Greens playing against the Celtics, I'm going to have to cheer for Draymond Green. A similar final. Well, it was a Super Bowl actually that I was kind of caught in that. I don't want any of these guys to win. Was the Niners and the Ravens from
Mm-hmm.
12 years ago, and the reason why is I grew up in Central California, so I was around a lot of Niner fans, and I wanted to stick it to them a little bit just to be a dick. And then, of course, the Ravens are the Ravens. I'm a Steeler fan. I can't cheer for the Ravens. So I didn't know who the hell to cheer for or who to not have win. So that one ended the way it ended. I look back on it now. I would have preferred to have the Niners win it, though. Looking back on it, I think it would have – a lot of things would have changed had the Niners won that Super Bowl. And it was the precursor of the Seattle decision-making the following year, or I should say 2 years later, where – you had something working at that time. You get to the 8-yard line using a weapon that they couldn't stop, and you could visibly see the Ravens defense was cooked. Yet you went away from that guy. And what was sad about that is you went away from that guy when you have a running quarterback who had destroyed teams all playoff, faking the pass. So if they had run an
Talking about
option,
one Colin Kaepernick.
yeah, if you had run some kind of an option with Frank Gore, who would have won MVP in that game had they just given him the damn ball, what would they have done? They wouldn't have been able to commit. Is Colin going to run, or are they going to give it to Frank Gore? Either one would have screwed you at that point. But instead, they did two fades, which, if anybody who knows me, the most detestable play in football is the mother effing fade.
Yeah, I personally think it's the sweep, Joe. But yeah, I mean we could go back and forth. But yeah, the fade is that's a great word for it. I hate
So
it. I hate it.
yeah. So Clippers Celtics final, the disaster of all disasters. But I don't think the Clippers are going to make it there. And I still don't. I'm still not buying the Celtics. I still don't see. I don't see. There's something missing there. It's still
Mm-hmm.
missing.
There's a hole there.
Yeah. And I believe that if Milwaukee can finally get their head straight and stop getting into this drama BS, they have a very good shot at making a run. And then I'm going to be looking at the Sixers. I think Embiid.
Milwaukee could use Murray a lot more than the Lakers could.
Sure.
If
And
the
I
Bucks
still
got,
say, I still say that the Sixers need to make a move to go get Caruso. I think if they can get a Caruso on that team, maybe even a DeRozan, I think that changes a lot. And they can probably, even if they were to get him here in a week or two, they might be able to just start challenging the Celtics for the 1 seed. They're 5 games out right now. I know that's usually a pretty steep hill, especially with the Celtics, winning as much as they do. But the Sixers are in my book are one trade away from really putting this together. And by getting someone, let's say like a DeRozan and a Caruso, you have a good third option scorer who's hungry to win a championship, especially after what happened with them in Toronto. And then you have Caruso, who's going to be a first All-NBA type defense that's going to help you with Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
The Sixers are deep. They run too deep at basically every position. But you're right. They need another twitchy point of attack guard that could take the heat off of Maxey and Embiid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Nurse is. We can't forget about Nick Nurse. I think Nick Nurse was the acquisition of the summer in my book. I
Mm-hmm.
think they really, really needed that particular coach to kind of implement a particular philosophy that fits exactly what this team needed, and it's it's going to be a battle of which team can scratch off scratch off our worries. It's just it just cannot happen. We cannot have gone all through all this and have the front office make the mistakes they did only to see that what they did in 2020 ends up being a wash. That would be tragic, especially with LeBron James and AD being on your team. It would kill me. But with that, I wanted to get back to the game again here, Sean. And we had talked on the post game about what the focus should be on here on out. And you got the email from Gerald, I'm assuming, about what Darvin Ham said after the game. I had brought it up before you joined the show. So this, folks, is your leader. Talking about wine, talking about food, talking about going to sleep, not answering questions. So we finally got someone to ask Darvin Ham. Thank you, whoever the interviewer was.
Johan Buha.
Johan Buha asked the question and was quickly jilted. So now what do you do? Now you're going to have to lean on that a little bit more, right? But you're going to need more than one person. You're going to need 4 and 5 type of guys to start leaning on Darvin Ham. Do not start or play Taurean Prince, D'Angelo, and Austin Reeves in a lineup ever again. I want to see in this next couple of games. I want to see if he does it. If he keeps doing it, he's just going to add more to the fact that he is a clueless coach, which is more than likely going to happen. Why is Curry angry, Dante? What did he say? Did he mimic his coach about the foul shots? Again, before you came on, Sean, I had reiterated the fact that when you're shooting 59 threes, common sense, folks, common sense, 59 threes. What is the likelihood that you're going to get foul calls? Very, very low. 59 threes. I thought it was like 45 or something. I looked at the stats. 459. Jesus. The Lakers shot 27. You shot more than half. Double what the Lakers shot. So of course you're not going to get all the foul calls. You ain't going to the basket, you dumb nuts. So he ripped his jersey, I hear. Okay. I think I'm guessing here. It's a pretty good guess in my book. With all the problems the Lakers have had, the Golden State Warriors have actually had worse. And I think that's frustration of losing, guys. They're now 19 and 24, I believe. They're a 12th seed. So they're in trouble. They're getting in trouble here. And if anybody needed an in-season trade, starting with Wiggins, and I don't know who would take that garbage can of a player in Draymond Green, but Kuminga might have to be thrown into that so that they can get somebody back. They need like 2 or 3 players that can come and ball. I don't know who the hell it is. I don't know who they would get, but we said this before. Signing Draymond Green was a terrible decision. Steve Kerr, his Rui Hachimura is Kuminga. He doesn't seem to like to play him a lot. So maybe the message is just not there anymore. I think the Golden State Warriors have to get to a point here this summer where they're going to have to start making some hard decisions. And one might have to be, I think you can't extend Klay Thompson. He just doesn't have enough juice again. And then you got to figure out a way to get rid of Draymond Green. And on top of that, you might have to start looking for another coach. I think Steve Kerr should start looking talking to management, and maybe going to a team that's ready to win, that's a coach away from winning a championship. Maybe somebody in LA.
Oh man,
the irony there, huh?
wow.
That just popped in my head. By the way, that just popped into my head. So, how would you like that? How would you like that this summer if the Lakers flame out and then are able to maybe reload in the summer? Do they fire Ham and go after, let's say, someone like Steve Kerr if he's available? Something to think about. So Intel had told me he would throw 100. I think it was Intel. He would throw $100 super chat if I had 3 shots. So, in case Intel, I know it's late, so I understand I know for some guys it's especially on the East Coast or other parts of the world, it's going to be hard to go on. But I did bring my rum. I got my shotgun casing here for a shot glass. I like the theatrics. So I'm going to take my first shot here, folks. It's a real shot. And it's on tape. Maybe he thought by not showing up that he wouldn't have to fulfill his obligation. I'm going to take 3 shots tonight. And then I'm going to remind you when you come back on next time that to look at the tape. So here's the first shot. Salud. Oh, I'm used to drinking rum with a mixer. But nice and smooth anyways.
Since
nice
you're nice.
Yeah.
What kind of rum was that?
It's just Captain Morgan.
Okay.
Just regular. Yeah.
All right.
I always have Captain Morgan. My neighbor and I, Chris, always do our Captain and Cokes. Although
do you like the white or the brown?
You mean the Coke?
No, the rum. Do you like white rum or brown rum?
I usually drink brown.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't drink a lot of white. It's usually not available, but I'm sure it's fine.
Well, that coconut rum tastes really good.
I'll have to check that out. The drink that tends to kind of make your heart kind of pump if you're not careful is, rum and Coke. So we try to limit the sugar as much as we can. And sometimes I might put in a clear, like a clear, no sugar type club soda type thing, just so that, because after a while, man, I could drink 10 of these things in a normal drink glass, and you end up drinking like 4 Cokes in 2 hours.
Blood sugar skyrockets.
And it's not good, okay? No one's indestructible. You're a human being. That much sugar
unless you're John Belushi. I mean, that guy was just
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair. Nature. Well, I'm surprised that guy dude still has a liver.
Right. And one of the I think it was Baby Doll in his documentary, his 30 for 30 documentary. She's like, I'm surprised he has a liver left. This guy drank every day for 30 and 40 years.
Oh, that psychiatrist story is one of the funniest ones you'll ever. I watch that at least once every 3 or 4 months because it's just hilarious.
What did he say? It was 6 mixed drinks and then a bunch of beer?
He said he asked him a bunch of just personal stuff. Okay, yeah. How often do you do? About twice a day, right? Depending on where I am, but about twice a day, right? That's about my average too, but with a woman. Then he goes, so how much do you drink a day? And Rick says, well, I'll have 10 beers in the car, and then I'll have 5 mixed drinks at the bar. He goes, well, how often do you do that? Every day? Every day. Every day you drink 10 beers and 5 mixed drinks. He goes, that's not possible. I said, oh, yeah, it is.
Come on the road with me, Doc. And then I think he ended it with, by the time I got done with that son of a bitch, He was laying down on the couch.
But some people are just built differently, Joe.
Well, he
Him.
survived a plane crash. He wrestled for 50 years. He almost died, came back. Some guys are built different. Some guys can withstand. Another one being Keith Richards. It's
Oh,
just some people just they're made for the abuse. And yeah, man. The thing is with the Chris Farleys and
well,
the John Belushis is those
Chris
guys took narcotics that took. I mean,
opiates.
yeah, it was that stuff is beyond destructive.
It's poison.
It's
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 literal
bad. Yeah,
poison.
yeah,
No, it's literal poison.
yeah. But
And
but a lot of people kill
it's
themselves drinking
worse,
too.
and it's worse because it's made worse because now, Joe, we have a medical system that a doctor will just cut you off cold turkey from stuff you've been addicted to, and you'll go and get it on the gray market or the black market, and that's the it. That's it. You're done. You're done. Because and I don't mean to get into another tangent in that, but these cartels don't give a blank about what they cut it with. Baby powder, fentanyl. I mean, all it takes is a little bit of fentanyl to kill an elephant, Joe, let alone a human being. So, I mean, like you said, destructive. If anybody gets a chance, if they haven't seen it yet, there's a great TV series that starred Michael Keaton. It's called Dope Sick. Fantastic. Fantastic. If you get a chance, Joe, check it out. Dope Sick.
I'll end the drug thing with this. I learned that the when the oxys and stuff, all the oxys became prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
What would end up happening is they started subscribing these too much, and then they started capping it.
It's what
And
they did with Valium in the 70s with all those housewives.
yes, and once they capped it, or they should say started regulating it, the demand went up, supply went down. What happens when that happens? Money goes, the cost of it goes up. And then, of course, people who were addicted said, well, I'm going to go buy a bag then for $10 instead of paying $100 for this stuff. And I have to go look for it. So
And then, of course, Joe, the proliferation of the and I'll be honest, I call when I was speaking with Joe, I speak to other friends about it. It's a racket. It's a racket. Recovery, a lot of the recovery is a racket. The proliferation of these stop and pop medical clinics where a doctor in Florida will write you a prescription for Vicodin for 600 pills.
I want to make this very clear for you, for everyone too, folks. I think it's an important it's an important tidbit to why. I used to date a very attractive woman who worked in the pharmaceutical industry.
They usually are very attractive, like
Right.
99.9% of them.
And that she was very charismatic on top of that. She
Powerful force for a drug company.
very she wasn't in any way manipulative though. She just had that it factor and being able to she used to work for Channel 3 up in Sacramento, so she had that charisma. And I remember she, when I started talking to her again, because I had known her from high school. So what do you do? And this was right when the Flomax was really popular. It just had just come out where it helps the, men, uh, urinate better. So I'm sitting there and she's
Hypertrophy prostate.
right. And so I'm sitting there listening to this. I'm going, you're, you're going into these doctor's offices and you're talking to these doctors, and the doctors are looking at her going, they're paying attention. Let's just put it that way. And you're talking about some guy's, unit and how it can work better. I'm like, this is like, you must be taking candy from like a dead person, not even a baby. And that whole process is not different from any other drug. They get paid. The doctors make money putting that stuff out to their patients. And then the cartels know how that system works. And they're probably doing some things in and out of all that with politicians and all that. This whole thing with the border stuff, it's really about the drugs. It's not really about immigrants and that's a red herring. It's the drugs, and a lot of these politicians in America are in on the take. They're in on it. So I'll give you guys 100%. This is true, 100%. I live not too far from the border. Matter of fact, I was just there earlier today going to my nephew's birthday party. It's a town called Chula Vista. It's 10 minutes from the border. They have border guys at the gate that they'll pay $10,000 a week to let a particular license plate through.
Oh, like a VIN number? They'll give them the VIN number and oh, okay, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
So imagine that, folks. I have known a lot of people back in the day that lived in Tijuana and would travel to Imperial Beach, which is a town right across the border here in San Diego, suburb of San Diego, and they would work here and then go back and go back, So what these guys do at the border is they work at the gate, at the booth, and they check and let people in and let people out, whatever. So imagine all you got to worry about is one vehicle per week, and just press the button, and you're making $40,000 a month. I mean, come on, guys. You're never ever going to stop that. No one's going to say no to 40,000. I mean, I would, but the regular person who's hurting, who can live a better life, is going to say yes to 40,000 a month. I mean, how easy it? They don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to risk anything.
Oh, you can play dumb about it too.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? I'm sorry, I guess I should have checked the exhaust. Who knows? Did you eat some of those tasty smoked? Sean, I love that you pay attention. And yes, I did. Matter of fact, I took a picture of it in case no one believed me. I went to my nephew's birthday party. There's these jungle gym things that, it's kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese without them, providing the pizza. You have to get it from somewhere else. So I was there for about 2 hours, enjoyed the evening with my sister and my brother-in-law and their friends, and then of course my nephew. And then as soon as I left, I had a couple pieces of pizza and a little bit of cake, but my sister knew. She's like, you're gonna go to TJ Oyster, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a few things so I can go over there. So after the party was over, I went over there. I ordered 3 of them. By the way, the price went up, Sean. Went from $4.50 to $5.75 now a taco. I dropped $22.67 for 3 fish tacos. This, just the regular fish tacos like this, and a Mexican Coke. And I regret it 0. It was good. It was so good. Put some lime on it. Oh my God. Guys, I'm telling you right now, man, you ever come to San Diego, you go by the border, you got to go there. Have to go there. My plan in the next 2 to 3 years is to franchise that mother and bring it up to Temecula. My father lives in San Diego, so I'm going there for sure. Cost is no option when food is that good. Yes, trust me, Sean, I'm not exaggerating this. You are going to love those tacos. It is phenomenal. So good. Let me know when that happens, man. If you happen to be in town and I'm in the area, let me know. I'll come see it. I would prefer the Lakers to get Caruso, Drummond if possible, or go after 3 and D wing. Is it Avent Traders? Avent. Honestly, I would love for that to happen. The problem is there's no incentive for the Bulls to send Caruso to the Lakers with what we have. So they would need to be draft capital to send their way for it to make sense. I don't know. Caruso would be the perfect player to bring on this team. I mean, perfect. And Drummond, he'd be a backup big. He would, even though it didn't work out the first time he was with us. I don't see it being a detriment here this time around. Joe, do you live in San Diego or LA? So if you guys drive from San Diego on the 15 freeway instead of the 5, the 15 freeway takes you to a town called Temecula. That's where I live. It's in between LA and San Diego, but more inland. If you take the 5 from San Diego and go north, that's when you'll get to Orange County and then LA. That's how the map works. So I live in Temecula. The county of Temecula is like at the just the hairline of a different county than San Diego. But if you go down maybe like 3 miles from when you start hitting Temecula, you'll start hitting the San Diego County area. So it's really close to San Diego. Like if I got on the freeway and drove to San Diego from, let's say, my work, I could be in San Diego in 30 minutes. LA is a little bit further. LA, it'll take me about an hour and a half. Yeah, the Patrick Williams is their power forward. Yes.
See, even in that scenario, you you still wouldn't have the thoroughbreds. I'm using Bob Cousy's line from Blue Chips. You got horses. What you need is thoroughbreds. They still wouldn't have the thoroughbreds necessary to go deep. And let me explain it further, okay, Joe? So, as of right now, your time is almost 10 to midnight. It's 10 to 3 here. As of this moment right now, the Chicago Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers are the two worst teams giving up 3-point shots. The worst. The Lakers and Bulls both give up an average of at least 14 a game. And that's increased, by the way, for the Lakers. The Lakers give up the most wide open threes per game, almost 23 a game, 23 wide open shots. The issue is when the Bucks implemented drop coverage and Budenholzer decided to go ahead with this. Look back at the perimeter defense he had. He had Drew Holiday. He had Giannis. Add in a Pat Connaughton. Throw in a Brook Lopez, who's, while an immobile center, and that's partly why they used the drop coverage. The Bucks had some thoroughbreds on the perimeter to make up for that wide open stuff. Now, eventually they won the championship. They should have won, as you've stated before, they probably should have won another one. But because Bud was so insistent and so obstinate about using drop coverage, they fired him. Because Giannis had enough of it, Joe. He had enough of it. He was like, I've got to do pretty practically everything for this team. You want me to average 28, 12, and 6, and you also want me to be the defensive player of the year as well. And quite frankly, a lot of what Giannis did that year, he won that award off smoke and mirrors. It wasn't his individual defense that helped him win that award. It was him being a very good individual defender. But for the most part, he had Lopez, he had Drew Holiday. You're talking about all NBA defenders, right? The Lakers don't have that outside of AD. And even if you brought in Caruso right now, you'd have Caruso, Vanderbilt, and then you'd have to mix in, we'd have to play D'Lo still because of his prolific offense, but you'd still be behind the 8 ball. You wouldn't have the necessary perimeter defense to compensate for the drop coverage. That's why Vogel was an excellent head coach. He played a hybrid style. At times he played drop coverage. At times he blitzed. At times he hedged. At times he played man. At times he played zone. He mixed it up. He mixed it up. Vogel understood two things. He understood personnel and he understood scheme defensively. And Darvin Ham doesn't understand either one, which complicates this issue because now he's the one implementing this, and it's garbage. It's garbage because he can't scheme himself out of it, nor does he have the personnel to try and scheme another form of defense. It's just it's 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 a mixed bag of like it's like putting it's like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. That's what Darvin Ham's scheme is defensively. It's
The
shame it's having champagne taste on it with a beer budget.
So, what's the problem in his head? Why does he do this? Is he stubborn? Is he dumb? What
I
is it?
would I would love to have that Edward Nigma
Yeah,
invention where
yeah.
you could like just peer inside his brain and figure out why he thinks the way he thinks. Um Joe, it's interesting when when we talk about personnel, right? You talk about decision making, and decision making is at the top of the list as far as like personnel goes. Are you a good decision maker? Okay. How about quick decision maker? Because I need those. I need quick decision makers. LeBron is a quick one, right? D'Lo is a quick one. Austin Reeves, not so much. Vanderbilt, not so much. So you have a mixed bag of IQ, and like shit rolls downhill. So Darvin Ham is not a quick decision maker, and he's definitely not a good one.
I don't know. I'm I'm gonna lean towards stubbornness.
Indecision is a decision.
I'm gonna learn.
Indecision is a decision.
Is there a point where LeBron goes to Darvin's office and says, "Dude, I'm not feeling this." LeBron has the cachet there, doesn't he?
He does.
But then LeBron is not that kind of person, though. He's a passive type. He won't do that. He doesn't do that kind of stuff. He's too light.
No, he'll do it. He'll do it through the media, like with the Arthur hand fist, or fitting in instead of fitting out
See,
with like Kevin Love.
but Phil used to do that, but he also did the other thing too. He called Radmanovich a space cadet.
Mm-hmm.
And then Radmanovich comes to his office the next day. He goes, "What's a space cadet?" I wonder what that answer was, by the way. I would love to ask Phil. This is a guy that wore Vans to practice once.
He's got no taste
I think
whatsoever.
the hilarious part about that
There's no
question is,
counting for taste.
yeah, and Radmanovich was one of the reasons why the Lakers lost in '08. I mean, when it mattered, he disappeared. He didn't do what he was supposed to do, which was sad too, because his skill set was amazing. You're talking about a 6'10".
Well, you almost pulled a Sonny Bono on a ski trip, and then decided that nobody in the Lakers organization would ever find out. Yeah, just this big 6'8" Serbian guy skiing who plays for the Lakers. Yeah, no one will notice. That's kind of where the space cadet thing came from.
Yeah, I miss Phil's quips. Phil used to do this pregame show with Billy Mack that was called Philosophy 101.
Mm-hmm.
And their chemistry was amazing. And Phil just had enough tact to make things just enjoyable to watch. The only time I was irritated with Phil is when he wrote that book after the '04 season. I thought there was confidences he betrayed that I think wasn't very ethical.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a gray area. It's a gray area. He was.
Look, it comes down to the fact that they're trying to sell books, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
At what expense? I read that book, by the way, in Barnes and Nobles. I was in and around that area for about 3 days, and I read the book in 3 days. I didn't want to buy the book to support it because I was from some of the excerpts that I had read. I was like, no, man, that's messed up, dude. You weren't supposed to say that.
I think it's. I often think of the like what you just talked about there, Joe, about selling books. I often think about those books as fiction rather than nonfiction.
Yeah. Especially when they say Phil Jackson wrote a book. I'm like, no, he didn't write a book. His ghostwriter wrote it. He
That's
just
right.
sat there and told the stories. But anyways, so this upcoming road trip that's already started,
Ensuing, yep.
we are 2 days away from playing a very formidable team in Houston. Are the Lakers going to wake up tomorrow? I know AD is. Are they going to wake up tomorrow feeling like their schmucky coach all tired and wanting to go drink wine and shit? Or are they going to look at Monday as a second leg of a very important road trip that they need to take? That's a tough question for some to answer, because based off what we've seen this year, I'm worried that they're going to not be ready for Monday because of the work they did tonight.
And who are you kidding, man? We know you're not drinking any Bordeaux or Merlot. You're drinking Mogan David. That's
I'm gonna take a
kinda
shot. I'm gonna take a shot for that one. That's a pretty good one. Intel, here's number 2, baby. Here's number 2. Filling it up to the
So
rim.
we were talking about it. I mean, if you won this first game, it might have been able
Ooh,
to springboard into 4-2, maybe 5-1.
salute.
Salut. All right.
Number 2. That was on the rim and nothing spilled. Whew.
Perfect pour.
Yeah, it seriously was. It didn't spill, and it was right there. Darren, you know about Hodads. So Hodads in OB, Ocean Beach. Hodads is this hole-in-the-wall place. They have other locations, but this is the one where I went to the first time. This place has license plates all over the walls from everything, right? And their hamburgers are amazing. So good that you can't eat it. It's too big. I mean, you have to you have to have an appetite for it. So if you're ever in San Diego and you want a legit, again, In-N-Out burger, price, quality in terms of that price, and then the service, yeah, In-N-Out, good, kind of, takes care of your craving. But if you want that next level hamburger, I'm talking like what a hamburger, like, high-end hamburger is, like
Mhm.
steakhouse steaks. This is the steakhouse of hamburgers. Is
So it's
go to
like
Hodads.
Five Guys, like
Go
thick.
to Five Guys is still a fast food joint. Not bad. They have good hamburgers,
The
but
fries are good. The
Hodads
way
is
they cut
different.
the fries.
Hodads is that one barbecue friend that that has a particular recipe when you go to his house to go eat hamburgers, and it's this thick, and it's got the fixings, and you're just like, oh my God, I just want to die in this juice.
So what kind of sauce do they use? Is it more sweet or sour?
It depends on what you want. I
What do
don't
you
mind the
prefer? What do
sweet.
you prefer?
I love cooked jalapenos on the hamburger,
Okay. Okay.
but very lightly.
So you're more sour.
Yes. Sour. Yes. I want sour, and I want the heat to be noticeable and just almost to the point where I'm like, man, I'm dying here. It's like the perfect taste, and that hamburger does it. Slam
I'm
two
more
Blue
more of a
Moons with a
sour
double
guy
shot of
myself.
Patron. How are we feeling? Sunday. Those are two good ones. I will have a Blue Moon usually when I'm out with the crew. That's like my favorite easy beer, unless there's something on tap that's unique. And then of course Patron. That's the tequila I usually will go to if I want to take shots with the crew. Mm-hmm. Jalapenos on pizza. Now, the funny thing about jalapenos, so I used to eat the bottled jalapenos my whole life, whether it was in nachos or pizza or whatever. One day, this is maybe 10 years ago, I go to the sushi joint and they have this thing called the burning roll. And I still go to the same sushi place. It's the best sushi place on the planet. I got real lucky with a lot of these restaurants. I'm not exaggerating, believe me. So they had this jalapeno that was fresh jalapeno. They do a little burn action like in and around that particular sushi. You eat it, and it's like I told you, it pops, and it's that perfect burn right before it becomes uncomfortable. Right before it becomes uncomfortable, you feel that burn, and you taste that jalapeno, and you're just like, damn, this thing freaking tastes amazing. So since then, I only put fresh cut jalapenos on stuff, and nothing tastes better on pizza than fresh jalapenos. You hear that crunch. Make sure that the pizza isn't more than a day old.
What's your favorite kind of pizza?
I will do.
I love a margarita.
I love mushroom, bell pepper, pepperoni, and then
Okay,
I'll
so
add the
classic.
jalapeno on it. I'll add the jalapeno on it.
Yeah, I like margarita or a Mediterranean myself, like feta cheese. Beautiful.
Yeah, there's a place called Marco's Pizza near my place. They make a very good barbecue chicken pizza. Better than any other barbecue chicken pizza I've eaten anywhere else. Usually, I don't like to go gimmicky on pizza. I like to keep it simple: cheese, pepperoni, bell pepper, the usual. But that one, man, it is really good. You could have that at least once a month
So
and not
you
be bored with it.
you dig a meat lover's pizza.
Mm-hmm. Olives. I have forced myself to eat olives in my life.
Another person that's got a problem with olives.
For some reason, olives don't work, right? Black
Well,
olives, especially.
they taste like rubber to you, don't they?
Yes. Now, the green ones are manageable. Like if I'm doing a sangria, like something like that, where the small
Mm-hmm.
ones, for
Mm-hmm.
some reason, those ones usually taste pretty good. And then every now and then there'll be those jalapeno ones inside the olive. I can eat those, but it's still like I gotta eat it with like some kind of a chip or something to really make it work. But with pizza, I try to avoid it. All I taste
I
is
love
the
them on a
olives.
hero sandwich. Put some, like you said, put some uh hot peppers on there, prosciutto, ham, salami, olives. Very nice.
Yeah. Overpowering is the word that I was looking for. You're right. Overpowering does it. I'll have to check out Knockout Pizza. I have heard of it in Carlsbad. Matter of fact, I'm actually going to go to Carlsbad here in a few weeks. I'll go check it out there and I'll let you know what you think. I'll let you know what I think. Hey, man, we're guys, man. We like sports, we like beer, and we like food. And that's what this show is all about, baby. We're here to just have a nightcap. We're here to just talk, shoot the you know what. And this thing is going to get much, much better. I promise you guys. There's going to be a new name coming to the show. Nightcap is too basic for me, even though I will sort of use it still. I'm working on some really cool graphics and things like that of the show. And I will be doing Morning Joe or Cup of Joe type stuff here once things kind of start to develop, so that for you guys out there on the East Coast and all around the country, or I should say all around the world, you're not waiting until 3 o'clock in the morning to go to sleep like Sean's about to right now. So again,
I'm good. I'm
yeah,
good.
that's okay. Hey, I'm here. Like I said, it's a nightcap. We do a post game show. We get all our jollies out on that, and this is for more of like a like a conclusion of the night, something where we can again have a nice little drink, get ready to go to bed, get some last minute.
I once stayed up for 51 hours straight.
I read that when you don't, there's what is it? The celestial clock, whatever they call it, circadian. That's it.
Circadian.
They said when you're not on that for one day, you have I think it was 2 days. It takes 2 days to catch up.
Yeah, because everything's out of whack. Your Krebs cycle, your circadian rhythms, your internal clock is just
So
all
what the hell do you do,
messed up.
Sean?
Well, you know, and that
You put
and that's
your head
it.
in a bucket of ice or something? Like, what the fuck?
Well, you know something, Joe? A lot of people think that, you know, if you basically try and decompensate your fatigue with like energy drinks, which I despise. I have had them on the show, so it's not like I don't want to be a hypocrite or anything, but I really don't like them. Or coffee, that's only temporary. You know, it's like that guy who's fatigued driving, right? And he rolls down the window, right? Thinks that that cool night air is going to give him an extra burst. It doesn't. It's impermanent. It's temporary. Yeah, you just gotta. At that point, you just gotta battle through it because, uh, you know, when you're working in the like the dead of night in the boonies, you have no other options. You have no other options because some of these guys, some of these first responders, Joe, work like 24/7. Like they're on call 24/7. So, I mean, if it's busy, it's busy. You just got to power through it.
I don't
I
think
was
I've.
up. I was up. I started my shift. This was in 2014. I started my shift on December 24th at 7 p.m. We didn't finish until Boxing Day at 11 p.m.
My uncle told me a story one time. He was up 3 days.
Damn. Okay, that's a
He
lot.
was working
That's
and
it's
partying,
oh,
working, partying, working, partying.
hair of the dog for 3 days.
Now,
Damn.
now, I asked him. I said, "Okay, so you went 3 days." I go, "What did you do on the fourth day?" He goes, "I slept for 22 hours."
I almost did that. Slept
I
for
didn't believe
15.
him. I said, "No, you didn't." He goes, "I swear on my kids," which is my cousins, right? I go, I go, how did that happen? You got, okay, I'm trying to think about this. It's midnight right now, right? I go, you're telling me you slept at midnight and you woke up at 10 o'clock the next day? He goes, yeah. I go, what the?
That's,
I go,
I believe it.
I
I
mean,
believe
come
it.
on, man. You were dead for a day.
Usually, yeah. Normally, normally your body just naturally just wakes up. It's just it tries to kick itself back into gear, right? Into bit of normalcy. So normally, like even on like an average day, a person might sleep at most like 13, 14 hours. And then your body tries to put it into gear and say, get your ass up. But yeah, if you've been up for 3 days, you might be sleeping for like a full day.
And he was
Or else you're turning to like some kind of lizard or a hummingbird. Because at that, see, at some point in time, Joe, your brain is just mush. It's just mush. Like you're breathing, you're speaking, you're able to comprehend what a person is saying, but you have absolutely no energy whatsoever.
I gotta drink to all you crazy people who sleep, who stayed up. I think my best day ever was 26 hours.
Okay. That
So
was in college, right?
Yes, that's it. I'm sorry, folks. I need to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No,
now,
sleep is important.
now, don't get me wrong. I do the.
Unfortunately, in this physical frailty that we live in, sleep is necessary.
I do a lot of 4-hour nights over again, but I'm sleeping every night. No matter what, I'm sleeping. I don't do
And
this.
I don't nap. I've been told to nap. I can't nap anymore. I used to
I nap
nap as
tonight before the game.
okay. I napped as a teenager. I can't nap anymore. That
It's
was
in
like
phases.
20
It happens
years
in
ago.
phases. It's sometimes I'll go 6 months with no nap, then I'll nap for like 2 months here and
Those
there.
cat naps are very, very healthy though.
They are because you get up and you're like, wow, I feel fresh,
Yeah, like
fresh like this
sometimes
drink.
sometimes
So,
they're better than an 8-hour session of sleep.
so just to add more to the shotgun shell here. So this is a Second Amendment shot case or casing, I should say. I will regulate militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is called America, baby. And this is America to you, Sean, in Canada. And Intel for supporting Sean in Canada.
You have the right to pursue happiness in America. Can't do that anywhere else. It's not written anywhere else in the world.
We could be on here for 2-3 hours discussing America, and maybe we will. Maybe on the next one. Maybe on the next one we're going to talk about America and why it's a great country. Because I think we lose focus on that sometimes due to the numbskulls that are surrounding the areas. And those numbskulls are called so many things, and so many things that I interpret as what? Like they're not that smart, folks. You're giving them a little too much credit. I think it's stupidity. And a lot of times, people who can't deal with confrontation, normal people, they don't want to deal with confrontation just like when they do at home. Like when they have their kids and their kids are being a pain, they decide to let it go. Oh, well, they're 12. Oh, well, they're teenagers. Oh, well. No, 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 no. You got to be stern, folks. Stern. When you fire back, that's when you start striking fear into the opposition. You don't need to be a psycho about it. You need to be abrupt. Joe, we want you to go to this event, and I want you to talk to the people at this event. This gentleman is running for city supervisor. No. What? But you can network and you can do all this stuff. No. If somebody needs something, they can call me. I'm not playing that game. Because everybody thinks they have to do stuff. That's kind of the scam, isn't it? You got to do this. You got to do that. I got to do this. You got to let your kids do this. You got to let happy life, happy wife, happy wife, happy wife. How about this? How about this? Again, I've been married almost 16 years.
Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you. How about everyone be happy?
When's your wedding anniversary?
May 17th.
Okay. My parents got married on the 21st, so you're in good company.
Congratulations to them. Jay, no, I'm not a Chargers fan. I am a Steeler fan. Now you're talking my language. It's a good segue. I've been a Steeler fan my whole life. My father came to America in 1976, right at the heart of the Steel Curtain era. Watched the Steelers do their thing. I was born in Royal Oak, Michigan, suburb of Detroit. I usually will just say Detroit because most people don't know what the hell Royal Oak is. So when I was 2 years old, my parents moved to the West Coast, lived in Fullerton, California. It's a suburb of LA, Orange County area. for I think half a year or something like that, and then moved to a small dairy town in Central California, and that's where I grew up. So in that time, when my dad was in Fullerton, he started liking the Lakers and the Dodgers. So the history of my teams, I always get a lot of questions like, "Are you from Pittsburgh? And how did you become a Pittsburgh fan?" Here, being a Laker and Dodger fan kind of makes sense because I'm in Southern California. But Pittsburgh's kind of, like that doesn't make sense to them. So that's how that came about. As far as the Steelers, I got into the Steelers right after I got into baseball. Baseball was 1988. Dodgers beat the A's in the World Series. I was around a lot of A's fans because I was in Central California. A lot of A's, a lot of Giants fans. And 89 was when I started getting into the Steelers, and then the 91 season is when I started getting into the Lakers. So that's kind of my progression with the sports fandom. And I never dropped off, especially after I moved to Southern California. I found a Steeler bar not too far from campus at San Diego State, watched all the Steeler games there. And then the Lakers, started listening to Chick Hearn in Southern California, and of course the Dodgers here as well. So it's been a good run here. I'll be honest. Since 1988, I've seen 2 World Series championships, 6 NBA championships, and 2 Super Bowls. So I want to thank my dad, God rest his soul, for not killing us with picking the Detroit teams when he was in Detroit. Because that very easily could have happened. That very easily could happen. Joe, we debunked any of the dumb sayings. Joe, what year you got married? Yeah, I got married in 2008. I got married in 2008, and boy, did that. Okay, so that particular day or that time was right around. I was in Hawaii, and the Lakers were playing Utah, and we all know how that went. Then they played San Antonio, and then of course we had to watch the debacle in the finals. Joe's tomorrow predictions. I'm predicting the Chiefs and the Niners. Until I see that Patrick Mahomes lose, I have to roll with him. And I believe the Niners will squeak by Detroit. If Goff gets pressure all game long, the Niners will win the game. So it's going to be a rematch of Super Bowl 54. And I still got to go with Patrick Mahomes. Although I am feeling a little bit of the 49ers getting revenge. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But tomorrow I'm picking the Chiefs and the Niners to be in Super Bowl, what is it, 58 now?
58.
However, for those of you who don't know, the colors of the Super Bowl are purple and red. So I think they want Baltimore and the Niners in the Super Bowl. The conspiracy theorists. The NFL wants the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter.
That's strange, right? Because on the color spectrum, red is the first color and violet's the last.
I don't believe that the NFL wants the Chiefs in the playoff in the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter in the NFL, folks. We had an uprising apparently online because people like to yap online like the cowards they are about how the league had a streaming game, which was the Chiefs playoff game,
Peacock,
only on Peacock. You know how many people watched the game on Peacock? 30 million people. So, America, world, your complaints mean dick. Because all this complaining, and you're still downloading the app and watching. I didn't watch the game.
I know, you told me.
I don't have Peacock, and I'm not going to download it. I hate streaming. I want it on my TV. Well, Joe, you can get the app. F the app. I want it on my DirecTV. I want to turn on the TV and go to the mother effing channel. I don't want to download and have to rely on internet and all that BS. If I want to travel, cool. I want it as a secondary. That's it. Primary, I want the mother effing satellite or the cable. Turn on, turn the game on, out. That's me, though. That's me. And Dante, look, if Baltimore wins tomorrow, it's very likely they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And Lamar Jackson, I have to cheer against the Ravens. I'm a Steeler fan. But Lamar Jackson's gotten a lot of BS thrown his way. So this would be the ultimate FU if he wins it. He will never, ever have to hear it again. He will never have to hear it again if he wins the Super Bowl. It'll be over. Even if he wins one Super Bowl. He's done. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame because he's going to get his second MVP. He wins the Super Bowl. It's very likely he's going to win Super Bowl MVP. So Lamar Jackson's going to be a Heisman Trophy winner, first-round draft pick, went to one of the best organizations you can go to, wins 2 MVPs, wins a Super Bowl, likely wins an MVP in the Super Bowl, and that's the story of Lamar Jackson. Hell of a story, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, especially considering Bill Polian said he should play wide receiver.
Well, it's tough, too, because Bill Polian is one of the best talent evaluators in the business, right?
He was.
But
didn't win a Super Bowl with those Bills teams. Got him put together good teams.
We look back on great executives. What was the
I think what happened, Joe, is that when you're 75, 80 and you've got a particular mindset, it's hard to change that.
Look. Here's the thing. Okay. I always point to the same one. Jerry West in 1998 drafted Sam Jacobson. And there was word that he wanted to draft Sidney Moncrief instead of Magic. Now, I consider Jerry West the greatest talent evaluator that ever breathed air in the NBA. And there's an argument he's the greatest executive in any sport. I would choose him over anybody. There's a little bit of bias, but I would, and I could back it up. So to say Bill Polian was wrong, sure, but he was a hell of a lot more right than he was wrong in his career. Now, Lamar Jackson playing receiver, that was kind of harsh. If anything, I'd make him a slash if he wasn't a good quarterback.
It just reminded me of that. It just reminds me of that conversation that Willie Beeman has with Coach D'Amato when he comes over to his house for dinner.
Willie Beeman,
and he tells him,
I got the ladies.
I'm
steaming.
I'm 6'2". I can run like a deer, and your buddy from San Diego told me I should be a cornerback
because I got quick feet. Sunday, you can't pick Harrison over Lewis because Lewis had. First of all, they played 2 different positions, but Lewis's career is godly. He played middle linebacker for 20 years for the same team. And his play was, I don't know how that guy's walking. We talk about you talked about some guys are made different. Guys like Ray Lewis, Bruce Matthews, his brother Clay Matthews, which is interesting because Clay Matthews Jr. was not as durable.
I thought he was his nephew.
No, Clay Matthews Jr. is Clay Matthews. I'm sorry, Clay Matthews is Clay Matthews Jr.'s dad, and then Bruce Matthews is the uncle to Clay Matthews Jr.
Yeah.
And then their dad played 13 or 14 years before them. I forgot his name.
James Harrison's the second best undrafted pass rusher in NFL history.
Yeah, James Harrison. I would say Ray Lewis is a notch above James Harrison just because his resume is speaks for itself. But no, of course, Darren. No, Lawrence Taylor is arguably the greatest defensive player of all time, even if he was on coke the whole time. Crack, actually, to be exact. Hey, this isn't me saying it; that he actually admitted it. If I
Some
had
guys
to,
do good. Some guys do great on it. Tony Mandarich, not so much.
no,
Some
not
guys
at
are
all.
built
Plus,
different.
he needed juice also, which he couldn't do in the NFL too. The no, I'd have to pick Ray Lewis above Harrison just because his longevity and his impact for sure. But James, I'm curious to see what happens with James. There's been some talk that he might make the Hall of Fame. I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait and see how that turns out. I'm still waiting for Heinz Ward to get in. Heinz Ward has 1,000 catches, over 12,000 yards, almost 100 touchdowns, and he's got a Super Bowl MVP and he's won 2 Super Bowls, and he's the greatest blocking receiver of all time. So I'd say he's probably gonna somehow figure out a way to get in there, especially with the criteria now. Hollywood Henderson carried a vial in his son. Oh man, I wish I was around in the '70s, or at least competent enough as a little older gentleman to be around the Hollywood Henderson Terry Bradshaw thing. Hollywood Henderson had a hilarious quote about Terry Bradshaw. He said that Terry Bradshaw was so dumb if you couldn't spell cat if you spotted the C and the T. And then of course,
Some guys were just so crazy they didn't need drugs. Show they didn't like. They didn't need them. Charles
No.
Haley didn't need drugs.
No.
John Randall didn't need drugs. They were crazy enough as it is.
No, some of us don't need coffee. We don't need stimulants. Some of us are just freaking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is, folks. Some have the juice just naturally.
The God juice.
It really is. It's an attitude. It's an attitude. I believe that dependencies is a weakness. Now, I'm going to start getting a little insensitive here if I don't be careful. Coffee, dogs. I can venture into those worlds, right? Oh, I need my dog because he does this. To me, I look at it differently. I don't need anything. I choose to pick what I want. If I want to drink coffee, I'll drink it. I don't need it. Flamin' Hot Cheetos. I would say if the one thing that's addictive
You mentioned that.
is Flamin' Hot Cheetos. If I
That's
was
your
on an
vice.
island,
That
that
is
would be
your
one of
vice.
the things on the menu, right?
This is your vice.
It's a vice. But the thing is, see, when you eat a sandwich, which is, a couple times in the, a week or maybe every couple weeks, come on. I can't eat a sandwich without chips. And that's my thing. Now, I'm not sitting there eating Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you put chips in the sandwich?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you... Okay.
I've done that, yeah.
That's the way you should do it. That's the
Definitely
way you
need
should
Water
do it.
Joe and his milk. Milk is big for me in the cereal department. When I was growing up, my dad used to say you used to use pots to eat cereal. But at the same time, I would drink milk for everything. And this was even before I was old. I mean, they said they went through cases and cases of Similac when I was growing up.
What are your
And
3 favorite cereals, Joe?
3 favorite cereals: Cocoa Krispies, Cinnamon Toast Crunch,
CTR.
and Fruit Loops. Yeah. Used to be Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops, and Cocoa Krispies. But Frosted Flakes kind of lost out a little bit toward the latter time of my life. Now, the funny thing is, when I went into college, when I left home, when you're not at home, one of the great things about not being at home is ready. My mom shopped. Well, I didn't shop, so she would buy all this stuff. So I wouldn't. I lived in a fraternity house. I lived in my own apartment. I didn't buy that stuff. I didn't buy cereals and all this stuff. I ate when I ate, and I bought a few things here and there, but I didn't buy that stuff. I just didn't do it. So I didn't eat ice cream for like a whole year. I didn't eat cereal for almost like 7, 8 years because I was in an environment in college and this single guy, and I'd live in a different apartment every year. I didn't live like going to the store and buying cookies and all this stuff. It wasn't until I had a fiance and we lived together and we started having that. And then of course I got married, and now we have those kind of foods in the house. So that was my when I would explain that nothing is an addiction. Nothing was ever an addiction. It's always been if I want to eat it, I'm eating it. If it's around, I'll eat it. If it's not around, I won't eat it. I won't crave it. That's kind of how it comes out. That's how it came out. So I can't eat a sandwich without chips and a soda. Pizza, same thing. I tried with all of my being, and I consider a hamburger a sandwich type thing. I cannot. Well, I can, but it doesn't have the same taste. I gotta have soda with the sandwiches and hamburgers and the pizzas because I'm not an alcohol drinker with food. I don't like drinking alcohol. The taste never like works for me. Alcohol is a social setting like we are right now, and I'm wanting to get a little buzz going so we can have a little bit more.
If you're eating stew, a nice Guinness is good.
See, I don't like thick beers. It's too stout. I can drink Guinness, but I don't usually
Well, the
eat
key the
food.
key is you pour some of the beer into the stew.
My boy had a chick who gave him her EBT card, Ella. He said, "We get any, you bastards." I'm
I
an
don't
ale
know.
guy. I'm not a lager or a dark beer guy.
I like beer, man.
Of
I'm
course
just
you
a
are. You're
beer drinker.
freaking Canadian, man. Of course you do. That's a rite of passage. Grilled cheese sandwich with ham, not Darwin ham. Ham,
No, and ketchup
ham, and grilled cheese late at night after you've had about 7 rum and cokes.
with ketchup. No. If
Ketchup.
you haven't tried it with ketchup, then try it with ketchup,
No, I
and
don't
you
think
won't
I'm gonna
go.
do that one.
You won't
No.
go. I turned PMC. I could turn you.
You know what you know what I
He
love
was he
though?
was he was skeptical at first about grilled cheese and ketchup
I
too, and then
love crab boil. The last 5
just
years,
try it. Try it once.
Irish Canadian equals beer for breakfast. Yeah,
Mm,
man, how does that work, Sean? You're Irish and Canadian.
I know.
That's
I
like a
know.
freaking atomic bomb and a stealth
I know.
plane dropping it.
I know. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll. Uh, have you heard of an Irish coffee, Joe?
Yes, I have.
All right, I'll have maybe one or two of those every like quarter, like 4 or 5 months. I'll have a couple of those. It's either like you can go with Kahlua, you can go with we have something called Bailey's. I'm not sure if you got Bailey's down there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Used to
Bailey's.
go to a restaurant called Bennigan's, and we used to
Bennigan's, all
drink the
right.
Baileys all the time.
Yeah, Bailey's and nice roasted coffee. Very nice. Very
And
nice.
and just so you guys know, if you haven't seen a movie called Waiting, watch it. It's in a Bennigan's, but they call it Shenanigans. They call the restaurant Shenanigans
Yeah,
as
well,
well.
wasn't Bennigan's in The Office?
I don't know. I didn't watch Office, but I'm sure it was. But Shenanigans. So when I was
Yeah,
in
Sorry,
college,
Office Space. Yeah, she
no,
worked at
Tchotchkes. It
Tchotchkes.
was
Okay.
called Tchotchkes, which was
Oh, wait,
probably the same thing.
okay. I
Yeah.
thought I remember Bennigan's in that but maybe it was
Bennigan's is if you watch the movie Waiting, It's a comedy with Ryan Reynolds and Justin Long, both comedic geniuses to me. And then you got Anna Faris in it, and some recognizable type funny people in it that you would know from other movies. But the story was that it was the life of the service industry, basically, the waiters and the people in the back. Dane Cook was in it too. I grew up, I was around a lot of food service types. I would never last in a food service area. I never was in that world because I would have probably thrown a pitcher of water in somebody's face at some point, so I stayed away from it.
Oh, maybe they would have put you in the back like Tony.
No, I would be if I was if I was
like Tony and Manny at the
No, I'd be I'm like
so they
I
can't
gotta look
deal
after
with
my investment, like
so
no.
they can't deal with the customers. Just put Tony and Manny in the
What, you
back.
crazy? Shenanigans is Bennigan's. And when you watch that movie, if any of you haven't watched it, watch it. It is the perfect depiction of that industry. Why? Because the bartender, the waiter, the waitress, whatever, that busboys, like that whole world, all it is a bunch of people working late, being around a bunch of tips and a bunch of beer afterwards. That's all their life is. Drinking, tips, and being around just abnormal hours. And of course, when you're dealing with people, it's already hard enough. Now, when you add food in there, it's why I didn't become a cop. Same reason why I didn't become a waiter or anybody in the world of food, because there's something about that food and people that they turn into weirdos. And I have friends who are the most obnoxious mother effers when they go to a restaurant. My friend Kevin and my friend Jason. Every time we go to a restaurant, they're bitching about something. It's the guacamole. I'm like, dude, you're eating guacamole at a Buffalo Wild Wings. What do you want this guacamole to be? Gold? Platinum? Like, you're at a Buffalo Wild. Order the wings.
Man,
why are you ordering guacamole? You can go home and make guacamole.
We have it so good in 2024. We're complaining about the guac at Buffalo Wild Wings.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, every time I go out with you with something, you're always yapping about some guacamole or the lady's not coming here quick. I'm like, why don't you chill out? Order the food, stuff your face, and shut the hell up.
You know what, Joe? Your buddy Kevin sounds like Steve Buscemi from Reservoir Dogs. How many times do you want her to fill your coffee?
He's an ex-skateboard guy from the 80s. He's 62, but you would never think it, right? So I play golf with him all the time.
Okay, so he's like a Tony Hawk guy.
Yes, exactly. And he hung out with Tony Hawk for years, by the way.
That's cool.
Sunday, I don't get into stupid fights. Like, for me to get into a fight, it's got to be like irritation. I'm talking like somebody's busting
intolerable.
Yeah, it's like, I remember speaking of Hodads and OB. OB is one of the places, I don't know what it was about that place, but there was always some whack job that was trying to do some stupid shit, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, can you shut up? We're trying to eat here. And more often than not, again, I'm 6'3", 280 pounds. I already have a presence, and usually people tend to stay away in general. I mind my own business. I'm not out to fight people. I don't have time. Look at my hand. Look at this. If you compare my fists here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a hell of a lot more bone.
Put them higher, here. Joe. Put them higher. Put them higher.
Here. Look.
Yeah.
There's a lot more. Go. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah.
Probably can't. Okay. On this one right here, the one I'm turning, there's more bone on that one versus this one. Okay.
Yeah.
I used to always punch with my left hand because I was always worried about breaking my right. I'm a righty. So my issue with fighting in public was the fallout. I have shit to do. I don't have time to break bones. Plus, my dad always taught me, as tough as a guy as my dad was, he goes, you get into fights, you're a moron. What do you get in a fight for?
People get in fights all the time.
What do you get in a fight for? My dad used to have that tone. Like, what are you good at what? What, you're a tough guy? You're a tough guy now? Just go. Mind your own business. If somebody yaps about whatever they're yapping about, go. What the hell with them? So I grew up with my dad telling me, You're
Don't sweat
wasting
the
your
small
time.
stuff. Don't sweat the
Stop
small
being a
stuff.
jerk off. You're wasting your time. Just get out of there. If somebody's
That's really
bothering you,
good
just leave.
advice. That's the
Like, what are they
best
gonna do?
advice.
Call you and say, "Hey, you're a bitch." So what? Who cares? So if I had to attribute the confidence thing or the common sense thing, is my dad. It really came from my dad. My dad had an ability to make things make sense very quickly. What are you gonna get out of that? What? You're gonna go punch somebody at school? Now what? You're gonna go to detention. You're gonna get suspended. Then what? You're gonna go to school being this guy? No, man. Again, it was a waste of time, and he was right. He was always right. My parents were always right. They they were in 50 different countries before they got here. They dealt with every kind of culture, every kind of dictatorship, every democracy, whatever the hell you want. They saw it all. And at the end, they came to America and they're like, they
This is the
see
place. This
what
is the
was funny
place.
is my dad used to say this when we were growing up. They're like, look, they're making fun of Ronald Reagan, right? It was the 80s. Like, hey, they're making fun of Ronald Reagan and everybody's sitting there celebrating it. Like, if you had looked at Saddam Hussein's picture wrong, your whole family got slaughtered. It's like, so for them, it was nothing, like
Oh my
nothing here.
god! Like don't get me started on that with Gerald. Gerald said something really nice. Gerald is a smart dude, but he said something really. Uh, not even gonna get into it.
All right, no, you can't open it up like that, and not say it.
So we're talking about uh, MBS, and MBS is getting into Formula One. He's getting into soccer. He's basically like Saudi Arabia is going to have their grips around the four major sports at some point in time, Joe. Maybe not hockey so much or baseball, but they're definitely getting in on the football and basketball at some point. So we were having this conversation on playback, and Joe goes, well, Saudi Arabia really needs to clean up their act when it comes to human rights. And I was thinking, Gerald, you dodo brain. They're in bed with China. China's the worst human rights violator in the world. And then I did some research. Saudi Arabia isn't even in the top 15. That's how screwed up the world is. That a country that beheads people as entertainment. Because it used to be, you go to the one light post in a small village or town, right, Joe? You go to the one light post because that was the only place where everybody could congregate and have conversations. In Saudi Arabia, they behead people. It's party. It's a festivity.
It is, and my friend Edie, he lived in Jeddah for I think 2 years, and he's from Mali. He was born in Mali. Went to Jeddah. For those of you who don't know what Jeddah is, that's Saudi Arabia, and Mecca is in Saudi Arabia. He's Muslim, and he didn't come. I asked him about it. I was like, "Look, what's going on there?" And again, this doesn't make it right, but they punish those who steal. Uh, Crimes. It's more corporal punishment type stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that's probably not shared in this country, obviously, is that they don't really like. They're not going to deal with the gender or homosexuality type stuff. They punish people there for being in and around that world.
Yep.
Uh, which again, I've always pointed out to certain things, especially with the whole LIV thing that was going on with golf. I always would remind people, I'm like, hey, look, if you're all gonna stand on a pedestal for something, be careful who you work with.
Mm-hmm.
You have to always be careful because you might end up taking money from people who do things that you say that you're not for. We brought up the whole vegan thing and vegetarian thing, and people who like tofu and avocados, and the reality is of the production of these things, our cell phones, our fruits, our vegetables. Be careful, and of course, the posers that talk about global warming, yet they have private jets. See, that's the department I live in. You want to believe in something, God bless you. It's America. You have every right to do it. But if I catch you yapping about fossil fuels and this stuff, and then I'm finding out you're flying around the world in your own little plane, I'm not going to take you seriously after that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, exactly, right? You could be a politician, you could be an artist, but no.
We all have blood on our hands, folks. If you don't believe me, right here, this, this right here, this iPhone,
How long has the Punisher been your screensaver?
since 2000 on my screensavers on my smartphones, probably my whole time I just happened to find one the last 5 years that was black and gold. This is the guy I would have been if I was a superhero. If you know the story of Frank Castle, the real story, his family got slaughtered by the mob, and then he jacked them up. He is the Batman version of Marvel. If you look at the parallels,
Mm-hmm.
except it's not his parents, it's his wife and kids. The Punisher was a character that I identified with.
Did you like Thomas Jane's
Loved it.
yeah,
Loved it till this
portrayal?
day. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. My favorite Punisher movie. And I love the second one too. I love Warzone as well. I didn't really watch the TV show one with Shane, but Thomas Jane, the '04 with John Travolta, that is a movie I could sit and watch over and over again. I never get tired of it. That scene with Harry Heck when he sings the song to him in the restaurant. Oh my God! It's scenes like that make me want to be a movie star.
I'd be more of a cross between Venom and Deadpool.
So Venom was the guy I wanted to be before Topher McGrace
Oh,
got it
that
in
was
Superman
so
3.
bad. That was so miscast. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to be Venom. Venom, it was this, I think his stats were 6'3", 240 pounds. He was blonde, but, Catholic kid, the Venom part. I wanted to be Venom so bad.
Venom was the anti-hero, Joe. He really was. He started the comics made him out to be a villain, straight up villain, right? You talk about the duality, like Spider-Man's the hero, but we f- like my generation fell in love with Venom. Like we love Venom more than Spider-Man.
Venom was the one for the longest time until I got into the
And Tom
Punisher.
Hardy nailed him.
He
Nailed
did.
him.
I mean, that guy just,
The sarcasm, the abrupt brutality. You are loser, Eddie.
and then Bane came in 2012. And here's a guy that's trying to bust the system, the crooks, and you identified with that.
Yeah, the Bane in Batman Forever was way too cartoonish.
It was. It was. It was going to be hard to outlast the Dark Knight thing, but then Batman Begins, in a lot of ways, was probably the best movie out of the trilogy. It's just that Heath Ledger's character overtook all three because of his performance. But to me, Batman Begins is
Like
actually my
and
favorite out of
yeah,
the
and
three.
again, just going back to the animated show, they made the Scarecrow a more menacing character than
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan did, I thought. That's the only part of that trilogy that was a little disappointing is that I thought they could have made the Scarecrow a little bit more menacing.
The real Batman fans though, because I'm not really a Batman guru fan.
Mhm.
My friend Jesse was a Batman fan, and the truest Batman character was he was too soft. The Christian Bale Batman was too soft. He didn't fight really. It wasn't until Ben Affleck until people felt the ones that are the novice guys, the novice Batman people. They're like that right
Well,
there is Batman.
so if the best Batman was Michael Keaton, the best Bruce Wayne was Val Kilmer, and then you could make an argument that Christian Bale probably balanced out the two.
Yeah, I would say that would probably work. The thing is it's very difficult for people with that kind of talent to truly, and I'm talking Val Kilmer to some degree, Michael Keaton, and then Christian Bale, to really show their skill set when it's more of a commercial popcorn movie.
Mhm.
Because you look at Christian Wood and The
There's certain
Machinist,
rules you have to follow.
right? And in that, Val Kilmer, as big as he was during the '90s, there was too much. He had too much Marlon Brando in him, and I don't think he ever really balanced the popcorn versus the critically acclaimed movies. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins seemed to balance it out. Gary Oldman tended to balance it out. So it's not like that was a flaw, that was a mistake they made. That was the diva-ness in them that didn't allow themselves to understand the difference. There's a difference, folks. And being around enough movie sets, not big ones, but enough to know that there's a difference between commercial and art. And roll with them, man. Roll with them. And then this last Batman with Edward.
Did see it.
I saw it. I liked it. It was truer to the detective type story that the comic books were, especially the older ones. But it still was missing a little bit of the movie star feel.
Like, yeah, and getting back to Deadpool, nailed it. Ryan Reynolds nailed
First
it.
movie, nailed it.
Nailed it.
Second one, okay.
No, the first one tells the story of that
Yeah.
sarcastic dude with stage 4 cancer.
But the thing is with Ryan Reynolds is I have been around. I've loved Ryan Reynolds ever since Van Wilder. And there's a movie called Buying the Cow where he was essentially Van Wilder before Van Wilder, and he is, I mean, crying funny in that movie. Like you cry at how funny it is.
Oh, what's his name? Forget. When he says your face looks like the topography of Utah or so.
Okay, so that guy, what's his name? I forgot his name.
Jason something.
Yeah. He's like, you are haunting. You will die alone. It's the way he delivered the "you will die alone." And Ryan Reynolds is basically getting fed the same crap that he feeds others, so he's totally with it, which makes it even funnier. It's like a, what is it? It's like a ball sack with teeth or something like that. Captain Deadpool. And then they look at each other. It's like just Deadpool. Oh, it's just Deadpool. Just Deadpool. Sounds like a franchise. And then they cheers to it. Yeah, Darren, Doc Holliday, man. When I was growing up, Young Guns was my Western movie. Young Guns 1 and Young Guns 2. And then I watched Tombstone. And Tombstone ended up being
TJ Miller, that's his name, Joe.
TJ Miller, yeah. He got caught with some extracurricular type stuff, so I haven't really heard from him in a while. Go figure.
People get jammed up sometimes.
Yeah, the thing with Ben Affleck and the Batman movie, he never had a standalone movie, so we never really got a chance to really see the development of that character. Ben Affleck doesn't get enough credit for how good he is because he's Ben Affleck, because he's a normal guy off. He subconsciously, indirectly doesn't play the part. When Ben Affleck is off screen, he's a regular douche. And most of the public doesn't want to believe that you're not that guy. That's why these people who read these novels, these specific novels, whatever it is, suspense, love novels, the second that writer just tries to do something a little different, they come back with like venom. What are you doing? That's not what you're supposed to do. You can't venture out. Once they like what you like, once they like what you do, then I don't want you to change. They're sticking with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're caught in between. Do you want to make money or do you want to be an artist? Yeah, the voice was stupid. It wasn't that bad in the first one. Why did he get worse? Do you really have to go really good? Just say Falcone was here to find you. Like, would that have been different? Would that have been hard? Like, who told him to do that? And why didn't Nolan tell him? Hey, dude, enough of the her. Whatever. Anyways, we've gone through the Lakers. We've gone through the NBA. We've gone through movies. We've gone through alcohol. That's what we're here for the Lakers Fast Break Nightcap. And by the way, folks, the name is going to change. I got a very interesting title that I'm working on. And of course, some more production value that's going to be attached to the show, because when you do shows, you got to continue to up the ante. I want to thank all of you for being here as late as we are, especially my man, Sean Grice. Sean, it's 4:00 in the morning. I don't know how the hell you do this. You're not working in the paramedics world anymore, man. You got to start sleeping. But
I know.
I love that you're here. I love you, and I hope you're always going to be here. We won tonight, baby. We won tonight in a way that I've been begging for them to win for a while. Grit. They were supposed to lose like 10 times tonight. They didn't. They came back. Thank you, LeBron, for going to the basket. You won the game. You deserve the accolades as well as your teammates. And for all of you who have been here tonight, thank you so much again for being here. Intel, I took my 3 shots and I drank a couple beers. So, hey, I got it on tape. You're going to see it. Live up to your side now if you can. I'll see you guys all on Monday. Sean will be there as well. I might be here tomorrow as well, but tomorrow's going to be a little bit tricky with the games and stuff like that. But I'll try to be on the snack pack as well. And until next time, I'll see you next time. Good night.